Konene. So conspiracy theories zinakuwaga very interesting because the people who believe them, and the people who take them as nonsense take them as nonsense. So one of the conspiracy theories that has happened hapa Kenya imekuwa ni story na Raila, like when did Raila die? So kumekuwa na hiyo jinga ina happen, unasikia msee akisema that Raila died like a week ago, alafu nasikia like the reason why they believe that alikufa a week ago ilikuwa because of the fact that aliambiwa na dem kama nani, udem anaitwa nani, Maverick Aoko. And I understand why you'd want to believe that, but a few things ni just logic and common sense does not support that theory. So one of the debates ilikuwa like kwa nini casket ile ilikuwa nini, casket ilikuwa India ni very different from the casket iko Kenya. Ile casket imeland sijui wapi. Ukiangalia the casket that landed from India, it was already wrapped in a flag. So and after kurapiwa in a flag, they took him to leave funeral. Alafu after leave funeral wakampeleka, was it Kasarani? Yes, wakampeleka Kasarani. So why would the casket be the same? So kuna vitu kama hizo. But sasa like niko nataka to go through this and look at the absurdities and how absurd that is. One of the things that we noticed a week, I think after Raila kudedi ni, people shared a certain video of him, and this was said that this was him walking on the day that he ended up collapsing. So you can see him kwa corridor fulani akitembea, and kuna ule lawyer wake, and history ya lawyer wake imekuwa very sad, but you can see as an old man he's just there walking because he was old. He was of he was near close to 81, yes, and inasemekana alikuwa na underlying conditions, so of course his chances of survival became super low because of that. But yes, you can see that. So if this was shot on the day that inasemekana alikuwa amededi a week before, how plausible is that? Then another thing that happened is this week kitu ingine pia ikatokea where kuna ambulance inaonekana ili akipatiwa CPR. Why? Because the nini, so kwa hii ambulance you can actually see, if you look at the end ya top of the video, you can see 15th of October 2025, and you can see the ambulance, kuna msana try kumpatia CPR and they try their best kabisa, and the simplest thing is kuangalia the date itself. So the date is there, and then as you look at the date you start asking yourself, what's the probability of a conspiracy that unites two continents, where India is involved in this conspiracy and Kenya is involved in the same conspiracy, and in that conspiracy we are trying to conceal the death of Raila Odinga. Najua like even the guy who was filming from an angle, yeye pia najua this thing alifilm a week ago. So you can see hapo that's a black person wanatry kumnini, alafu wanashindwa. Why? Because one of the things ile tukamkulani, he was at an Ayurvedic clinic, not a real clinic. That means that when he started suffering, he could not get like ile instant medicine that could have saved him. Kwa sasa hawakuwa na capacity ya kudu kitu kama hiyo. So that's the reason why that happened. So we have to ask ourselves, like, a week of acting. And another thing that happened is there was the image where you see the daughter giving the heart to the mother, and apart from that you see the daughter next to a coffin in India, na unasikia wajinga wako like coffin ilitoka Kenya but Raila alikuwa Kenya, he was already at leave funeral. And these conspiracy theories are so dumb that it's sad. Kuna watu watakuwa like, Maf, if they're that dumb, why are you still talking about them? It's cause it's crazy. Like why would you do that? Why would you come up with a conspiracy theory that makes no sense? That this guy died a week ago and people have been acting like, I've looked at some of the videos za Aida, and you look at the level of sadness in Aida's eyes and you just can't justify that. You look at the pain of a widow, you look at akina Winnie, you see the pain of someone who has lost their dads, who have lost their dad, and unashindwa like, how do these conspiracy theories just go? So with these conspiracy theories we are supposed to understand that this great conspiracy, KQ pia wako involved. Kumbuka KQ did the whole thing where they ended up doing Rao 2001. So they also went, picked up an empty coffin and ended up flying with the empty coffin to Kenya. So hizi story zote nimekuwa nikizicheki and I felt like it was time to talk about them. Niko sure kuna sort shindo like more, why do we need to address this? We need to address this cause ile time unasikia mtu anajisifu kwa sasa saizi kuna hiyo niko nacheki kao dem anasema ati every time you hear that if I tell you your wife is pregnant, go buy diapers. No, you guessed. To guess that an 80-year-old is going to die, hiyo ni kama zile maprofesi kwa cheki za phronesis where wasi watasema like, oh, he predicted this. No, he didn't. I need specifics. Tell me this is going to happen at this time. Ukiniambia, oh, one of these people will not reach 2027 and you don't say who. Anyone can die at any time. Anyone can die. Alafu hiyo story ya one of them will not reach unless they repent. Why the hell are you putting unless they repent? Why? Because then if they reach, you can justify it and say they repented. So inakuwa na hiyo nini. So hii kitu nilikuwa naicheki. Alafu okay, in the process a few songs zimetokea juu ya Raila. One of the songs ni ya Bahati, bado sijaisikiza. Another song pia nimecheki ni ya Rayvanny, pia bado sijaisikia. But yes, the dedications have been coming out, and with the dedications it's a very tricky thing because I always believe in giving people flowers when they are alive and giving them ile time washa dead. A lot of us, because I think we fear death, tunakuwa on that level of we never give people credit when they are alive. Unajua tunangojaga mpaka wa dead ndio nini. But kitu moja ile nimecheki ni Kindiki like nini ilikuwa Thursday was very chaotic. Yes, Thursday was very chaotic and a lot of people ended up being tear gassed, and I think on Friday there was a better job that was done of that. But one of the most powerful things ile niliona ilikuwa something that Oburu alisema that you cannot tear gas Raila even in death. Juu kama kuna buda alipitiaga tear gas kwa hii dunia Johnny yeye. Alafu hata ukiangalia zile videos za baba while you away, because people always forget that. I think every time that tunasifu Uhuru, so saa wigi the baba while you away thing where a lot of people, innocent people, got killed, and apart from that like the car ya Raila was shot at. Naongelea time Sonko alikosana na Uhuru, Sonko alibaki amesema hivyo like nini mse kama Moses Kuria used to like openly call for the assassination ya Raila, and that would have been a very different scenario, him dying of natural causes and him dying of an assassination. There's a reason why all those presidents used to stay away, because they know ausamaga the only thing you need to destabilize a country inakuwa ni 3% of a country goes wild, you can destabilize a whole country. And with this dude there was guaranteed of a very huge population going wild. So wacha tucheck ni hii story ya tear gas in death nilifindikiwa powerful sana.
I would like to express my disappointment that yesterday there was some tear gas which was thrown around. I really don't like tear gas. To see Raila should not be tear gassed in death. He has been tear gassed enough when he was alive. Please let us not cause a situation where he is tear gassed again when we are escorting him. Let us behave in a way that does not give any reason for tear gassing and even using force against our people who are innocent. They have come to mourn, and they should be allowed to mourn peacefully.
So hii story imenikumbusha pia like another thing that happened, and on Thursday itself. So Thursday mimi nilikuwa en route nikiishia masides za SA, so saizi niko hizi masides, and one of the things that Larry Mado shared was how the police were acting, and to me this is one of those things where someone needs to be prosecuted. At no point are you supposed to just openly open fire on unarmed civilians, and this is what ama politician nini mama karao alikuwa na do. Like kuna karao waliamua tu kwanza kushoot and everyone was ducking down. Like how do you do that? Like hii nini ilikuwa so disturbing that the fact that so fast just kia yani mpaka Murkomen ndio ilifika time Murkomen becomes the good guy. They are wondering like why would you do this? Yes, they are misbehaving, but there are ways. There has to be a way to handle Kenyans who misbehave. The ticket for misbehavior should not always be death, and this desensitization of death started happening kitambo kabisa because of Kenyan politics, and this is the reason why a lot of people are surprised seeing how desensitized we are when it came to the 2024 protests, because like wanna believe like, oh, this is happening, this has never happened before. It's always happened. We've always been a sort of people who believe in, if we have different political ideals, then your death means nothing. Tumekuwa that for a very long time. But hey, wacha tucheki hii footage ya Larimado.
This is the exact moment shots were fired at Kasarani. Watch closely.
So nacheki wase wana dark chini, because these are trained police officers. Wanachekiani wase, I think wako trained as anti-terrorism. There was no need to do this. There was no need to lob tear gas because you can cause a stampede. There was no need to do this. All it needed was proper planning. And it reached a moment where nakumbuka nikiona footage ya nani sasa ile time ya tear gas amekataa kabisa Murkomen, and when he did that it calmed things down. You have to understand, always try to de-escalate situations, not think that just because I can use force, I use force. And this video was disturbing. So hii footage nakumbuka nikiwatch nikishindwa like who would do this, and the only conclusion I would have come up with is these are most probably my police officers who also hated Raila when he was alive, because that's the only reason inaweza fanya ufanyie his supporters that, because if you loved the man you'd have understood that his funeral was going to be this big and it was going to be chaotic, because love and chaos, love is chaotic in its own way, grieving is chaotic. So this was disturbing. Nacheki, and hata hiyo part vile Oburu anasema he was tear gassed in life, haftuwai kumtear gas in death. I think that was not enough to Nini. This, we should have condemned this. Like everyone who passed away hakuwa na need kupass away, and I think that's the reason why I'd say on Friday they handled it at least more respectfully. But I'm still afraid of what's going to happen in Kisumu. Hiyo sijui, I'm still zile 50-50. So nacheki, so hii situation ilikuwa very unnecessary, and I don't know what happens with Kenya and why we feel that just because we have power. And this is the thing that wasoshinagwa, like, why do I keep talking about the past? I keep talking about the past because the past shows us the present the present pattern, and the present pattern is we've always been that sort of people. We've always been the sort of people who, given a chance to like use maximum violence, will end up doing that. And that's what kept happening. Like for very long, a lot of governments have gotten away na hiyo story ya kutumia violence, and that's why we become desensitized. And this is the reason why we never understand when people say that, you know what, all these things that you're seeing right now, all these things that have outraged you have always happened. And how do they happen? They happen through such a thing. Like if you're the sort of person who watched your footage and it did not disgust you, it shows that before Gen Z protests ulikuwa na look away. And then what happened? We normalized that. We normalized brutality on protesters. So when this brutality ended up being meted out on protesters last year, we were surprised. And we were surprised because we never thought it would happen. It happens, and it always happens. So that was something that was very disturbing to see. Like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to just decide that this crowd, I'm just going to not care who's there, ndabaki nimeshoot too indiscriminately? So that was super disturbing. So Saturday, now we move to Kisumu, and Kisumu na expect, of course, itakuwa chaotic, but how chaotic and how is this going to happen? Kuna watu wanasema that it might end up being another 1969 scenario. 1969 ilikuwa time ya Tom Mboya, and time ya Tom Mboya of course waswali jam na Jomo, but the difference was they believed that Jomo had been involved in the murder of Tom Mboya. Right now, any reasonable Kenyan does not believe that Ruto was involved. So with that in mind, I don't expect any sort of violence, and that's the reason why I actually feel that on Friday the government did a good job. There was no unnecessary deaths. Wacha hata tusikie vile nani, I think Kindiki mwenyewe alibaki amebonga juu ya Friday, yes. Wacha tusikie.
It is also important to announce to the country that we are pleased with what has happened in the afternoon. We had another event again, and that is the public viewing of the mortal remains of our departed leader. Thousands of mourners, members of the public, the rank and file, supporters and fellow citizens of our fallen leader were able to pay respects to the body of our leader. We are very pleased as a committee that exercise, which just ended a few minutes to 5 p.m., has continued and ended peacefully, solemnly, and in utmost dignity, notwithstanding that there were thousands of people.
Yes, and hopefully that's the same thing that we are going to say about Kisumu. But yeah, hii ni ilikuwa quick reaction to the bullshit conspiracy theories, and also like my 2 cents on the man. The man has been the one like right now making headlines hapa Kenya. He was also usually the person who was very easy to sell newspapers with. Like there's a time where politicians and these newspaper companies used to debate like hii ingeput hii headline na jina yake, hii put this other headline, like a negative one would be put in Nairobi, a positive one is put maybe for region ya Kisumu, and then they see how it works. Now that he's gone, who's going to take that mantle? I don't know, but hopefully, and hii ni kitu na hope kabisa, is that in Kisumu there'll be no loss of lives. Iko nene.